Lifetime Hearing Services, the premier hearing healthcare facility of the PD, is so very pleased to sponsor this next conversation with Nicole, my good friend. Sit back and enjoy.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. Today, my guest is a return guest. He is Larry C. Timbs Jr. He is an author, and he has a recently released book, and it's called Harmless News in Myrtle Beach. A journalist seeks the truth about UFOs. Larry, it's good to see you again.
I'm here, Nicole.
Yeah, I enjoyed reading your book. It was, of course, living along the coast all those years. Had a lot of familiarities in it, and even picked up on some of the names. I thought, maybe he might have been thinking of me when you talked about some of the television folks. I don't know.
I watch Channel 13 a lot.
Okay, good.
Good idea.
I don't want to assume, but your new book was a lot of fun to read. Tell me about this book.
Well, it's just, it's a work of fiction, but I think a lot of people have the same curiosity that I do. They wonder, are we alone? Are we alone in this great big wide universe? Are there visitors out there and out from outer space that we don't know about yet? And I think there's intense interest in that question, and I think there's only a matter of time before we really do make contact with aliens, whatever you want to call them. And so it's just something I wonder about a lot. And I think anytime a movie comes out about UFOs or extraterrestrials, you can see the public is very interested in that. And if you don't believe it, you can think of movies like E.T. and Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Contact. And so people are hungry. They want to know what's out there, and I think that's just kind of an innate human desire, and
why do you believe there is something beyond here on Earth and what we know about? Is it your Air Force background? Elaborate on that.
Maybe a little bit of that, there were I worked in radar, aircraft control and warning, and there were, when I was in the Philippines, and that was in the height of Vietnam, and there were objects that we didn't know what they were. And that was kind of one of the motivations for writing the book. The people that were in charge of higher ranking people than me, much higher, that could pull the trigger and scramble the fighter jets were, officers, lieutenants, captains, majors. And I remember this one that I worked for. He wouldn't scramble for any reason. He says, it's too much paperwork. I don't want to fill out all the paper. And that's probably just somebody that didn't file a flight plan anyway. We don't have to worry about that. So that was always something that was percolating in the back of my mind for all these years, So.
Well, that makes perfect sense. And a lot of what you just said is in the book in a different way. So walk folks through the character in this book and his search for what happened to a couple women at the beach, and then a couple of things that were seen, out at night. So just walk me through a little bit more details about the book.
Well, it opens up with there are three women from the Grand Strand who are on a little short road trip up to Loris. Yeah. They went up there. One of them had a birthday party, and they drive up there from Myrtle Beach, and they have dinner. And on their way back is when they are, quote, accosted by this object that hovers over their car and stops the car. And so that's how the book kind of opens. And then the women are beamed up inside the spacecraft, and they are examined by 3 or 4 creatures, that were from another world. And
sure.
So the interesting thing about this, and I've got this in the book, this is actually based on something that happened to me when I was a journalist. There were three men when I worked in Kentucky many years ago. There were three women, same thing, that were taken up into it. They were stopped. They would come back from having dinner, and they were stopped on a country road, and they swore that they had been beamed up into a spacecraft, and they all told the same story under hypnosis, and they all passed polygraph tests and everything. And I've kind of borrowed from that incident to start my book. And so that's how, then when they get back to the beach, they file a police report, and that's when, as we say, the solid waste hits the oscillating fan. The people, the newspaper. There's a reporter at the newspaper, and his last name is Harmless.
Yeah.
His name is Lester Harmless, and he wants to pursue the story, and he has this crusty old editor who's very skeptical, and he thinks it's science fiction. He says, this isn't true. We don't, we pursue the truth as journalists, and this isn't true. And Lester Harmless wants to pursue it. So he gets into it with his editor, and that's how the kind of book opens up like that. And at first, the newspaper sits on the story and doesn't report it, but then there's so much social media.
Yeah, and the TV station takes off with it, and then there's this battle of who's going to get
Channel 13. I mean the TV station.
I got to pick out of that part.
Involved, and Nicole Boone gets involved, and they start covering it. Or somebody like Nicole Boone.
Yeah.
They start covering it with their microphones down on the beach, and it forces the paper to be more proactive.
Yeah.
And so they get involved in covering the whole story, and so lot.
It has to have a love scene. I like that too. I liked a lot of the familiarity from it, from my perspective as a journalist, of course, and of course knowing a lot of the places that you mentioned.
Leslie Kirby, that's me, and Nicole go way back over 30 years. I was just beginning my career as an audiologist, and Nicole was a new news reporter way before she became a beloved news anchor. She has always professionally supported my hearing healthcare practice, and I am so very excited to be her first ever Conversations with Nicole sponsor. That's what we should all do, support one another, and that's just what my Lifetime Hearing team does with all of our patients. We make lives better and easier with communication, so that people can love life, enjoy the grandchildren, enjoy church, enjoy TV, and hear the I love yous that mean so much. Offering the best in Belltone hearing aid technology, as well as providing cochlear implant solutions, we have become known as the PD's premier hearing healthcare facility, with having evaluated more than 52,000 ears to date. With national award-winning services, call us for your on-time appointment.
But we see this all the time, that people talk about these things happening to them. Yeah. And believe what you want. It's really up to the individual to believe what they want. But I thought it was a lot of fun to read the book.
Appreciate it.
And I enjoyed it. It does make you think a little bit, I mean, who's to say?
Yeah, exactly. And, the same thing happens in the book that happened that I saw in the Air Force. The people in the power structure didn't scramble in making decisions because it was too much of a hassle. They didn't want to fill out all the paperwork, and they just thought that this was wasn't worth doing all that. And so you have that conflict going on in the book, cover up from the air traffic control people, and then you have a man whose wife dies, and she's laid to rest in a local cemetery between Beach and Conway. And actually, I visited that cemetery to sort of get the ambiance of it and everything.
Okay.
And so she's laid to rest there, and then you have this grave digger who comes in with blood. And,
I could visualize all of that too, as it was written, what that character might look like.
and this guy says that he saw an object hovering over the grave, and something funny's going on with this grave that he dug to put the body in, and then the husband of the deceased becomes very, curious about what may have happened to his wife's corpse, and then he gets a lawyer, and they go to court to try to get the body exhumed, so you get into that,
Sure.
that part of it, and so it's just there's a lot of, I was reading, I haven't even looked at anything in this book for many months, but I took it out. I thought, well, I better be familiar that I've got to remember what I wrote. And I thought, where did I get that idea? It's just come, as you know, they just come at you sometimes, and who knows where they come from. But so
Have you gotten any feedback since you've written the book?
Hardly any. I mean, I haven't gotten much feedback at all, and I kind of blame myself for not being out there more. And I should be going to craft festivals and selling it. And as you know, there's all kinds of those things down here.
Sure.
I should be out, but I don't know. I just my dad had a saying. He said, says anybody can write a book. It takes a genius to sell one. So I think that there's a lot of truth to that.
I think that's kind of with anything. Whatever you're involved in, you have to get out there and market yourself and sell yourself. And some of us aren't that good at doing that. Speaking about myself personally too as well. So this is one of several books that you've written. Last time we talked and I interviewed you, it was about good old Winthrop College, where I went and you taught. And some of your past books are also on Amazon as well. Do you have anything in the horizon that you're thinking about?
I haven't, I mean, sometimes ideas percolate, and I'm not going to say there'll probably be another book sometime, but I'm not sure when. I'm pretty busy. I say I'm busy, but I'm not that busy. But it does keep me busy freelancing for the paper. They have me doing this and that. And
remind folks where you're freelancing.
Myrtle Beach Herald.
So any police reports actually come to light about anything that have ever happened in this book that you've been around, that you heard of, that they say you can't report on that, or what?
No, I haven't run into that here. Not yet. No.
That's funny.
But when I was a journalist, I always hoped and prayed that a UFO would land in our community so I could write about it. I mean, that was, I just always thought, if you just had a report of one, it would, that would whet people's appetite.
Well, in recent months, we've seen some things in the sky.
Yeah, that's right. We saw that balloon over here.
Right.
Well, that caused a stir.
I know. So. What is the joy in writing? Is it just being able to be creative with characters and kind of get them to do anything that you want them to do?
I always say that after we're gone, the only thing that'll be left is what we wrote. And maybe for you, it'll be your broadcasts. For me, it'll be things I've written. And
sure.
That'll be just that's the only thing I have left.
Definitely part of your legacy, for sure.
Yeah. So just a way to, leave something to the world,
Yeah.
So.
Well, I appreciate my copy. I do appreciate a mention in your book.
You got it. Hey, I appreciate the tour of Channel 13.
Yes. And if you write another one, we'll have to talk about that one.
Okay, that's good.
So, where can folks get your book if they would like to read it?
It's on Amazon. Just go to Amazon, and you'll see it on there, and it's available in print or digital, so you can get it.
I love holding a book, though. I still love holding a book.
I do too. Ink on paper. That's what it's all about.
It really is. Well, it's a fun book, and makes you think. And you know what? When we leave this world, we'll find out what's beyond it. If some of the things that are mentioned in this world are true or not. But
Sure.
fun to think about and see what happens. But yeah, I was always a big fan of E.T. and Close Encounters of the Third Kind and all of that. So,
Sure.
but Larry, it's always a pleasure to speak
Same
with
here,
you.
girl.
I really enjoy our time together, and I'll be waiting for your next book. But folks, if you haven't read Harmless News in Myrtle Beach, check it out. It's a lot of fun. Larry, thanks so much.
Appreciate it, Nicole. Thank you very much.
Yes, and that will do it for this edition of Conversations with Nicole. Until I see you again, I hope you have a great day.
This segment of Conversations by Nicole is sponsored by Lifetime Hearing Services with 3 locations in Florence, Hartsville, and Camden. Visit us on Facebook and at lifetimehearingservices.com. Until next time, be well, stay grateful, and be blessed.